All right. Well, welcome once again to the virtual yard at Cayman Connection. We have these meetings weekly at 6 p.m. GMT, and that's usually 1 p.m. Cayman time and 1 p.m. New York time. Somebody today said to me, I don't know what GMT means. And these meetings are meant for Caymanians overseas and those connected to Cayman to come together, to stay connected to home, to offer support to each other. At these meetings, we have different activities, events like this one, also opportunities for networking, and sometimes just casual chats. So if this is your first one, welcome. If you come every week, thank you for being here and spread the word about these meetings. They're open to anyone across the entire globe. So it doesn't matter where you are. We have people from Canada, the USA, Europe, Asia, the Caribbean that join in. And if you just want a friendly space to communicate in, to network with other Caymanians and those connected to Cayman, come to the virtual yard meeting each week. So today we're focusing on Cayman Thanksgiving and the meaning behind this very special cultural event. And with us, we have two very special guests. We have Mr. Samuel Rose, who is our Cabinet Secretary for the Cayman Islands Government. He's also the band leader for Swanky Kitchen Band. And he happens to be the father of a young lady, Casey Rose, who's there with him, who is the inspiration behind Cayman Thanksgiving, which started in 2010. So welcome, Samuel. Welcome to the virtual yard.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having us. Nice to be in the yard.
Yes, and you're welcome to come back anytime, not just when we're talking about Cayman Thanksgiving. So we wanted to share with our membership a little bit about Cayman Thanksgiving because we also are planning to celebrate it on the 5th of December this year. And we wanted to not only share the history, how it all came about, but also perhaps give them some ideas as to what they could do for this year's Cayman Thanksgiving. So let's start off with perhaps the inspiration. So Casey, I hear that you are going to be the one sharing the majority of the information with us, and Mr. Rose is just going to be on standby if you need him. Is that correct?
That's correct.
How did it all come about?
Okay, so this all came about when I was in school. I think I was about 11 years old, and we were learning about American Thanksgiving because I went to an American school here in the Cayman Islands. And I don't know, I started asking a lot of questions, and I asked my teacher why don't we have a Thanksgiving? The Canadians have a Thanksgiving, the people in the States have a Thanksgiving, but why don't we have a moment of like gratitude and togetherness? And she just told me that was a great idea. And she's like, we just don't have one. And so I was really bothered about it because I don't necessarily subscribe to American Thanksgiving and just, the background of it. So I came home to my parents and I asked them, I said, so the same question, why don't we have one? And my dad kind of laughed and he was like, we just don't. I'm not sure why. Usually we celebrate American Thanksgiving with my grandmother, my dad's mom. She usually cooks us a big feast, turkey, cranberry, everything like that. And we celebrate it at her yard, but we never had one here in our house. So I think just to keep me quiet, because I was just so bothered about it, they decided, all right, we'll just do one. And he said, okay, what do you want? Like, what is this about for you? And I'm like, the same thing, just like togetherness, gratitude. I love having huge family things, especially at our house, like with all the cousins and the uncles and the aunts coming together. And then of course, like a lot of people in my family can cook good food. So I was just very happy about that. So he said, okay, we're going to do it the first Sunday of December because we're Christians. So it's kind of like gratitude and showing our gratitude to God. And also because that's when the hurricane season ends. So it's like everything's kind of calm now. And that's just how it started. We did it and we just kept doing it ever since.
Fantastic. So it all, the way you're making it sound is it was a way to ensure that a little young lady didn't continue to push and prod and poke at their parents, right? But in the end, it worked out to be something very symbolic about hurricane season coming to an end, but also sailors coming home. Is that right, Sam?
Well, thank you, Rita. So it's one of those things that, as Casey pointed out, it started very unplanned. It was just basically something that, she was asking questions, and her mom and my mom and her godmother, Faith Geely, they said, well, how are we going to do this then? We're going to make this little lunch for Casey. It was all about Casey doing this Thanksgiving thing. And the idea that they bounced around them amongst themselves was trying to use things, kind of borrowing from the American tradition, whatever that tradition is, trying to utilize things that were grown or produced in the Cayman Islands. So my job was to go and get the fish, to go fresh fish from our neighborhood fisherman. We had to go and order some fresh beef, those types of things. So we just tried to utilize things that we could get in Cayman. We went to the farmer's market, and we had some grounds and stuff as well too. We had some pumpkins growing that year, and different family members had things. So everybody the idea was to try and use as many things as we could locally procure as possible. And just tying it back to the end of the hurricane season, and everyone stopped and said, well, what are we thankful for this year? Thankful we didn't have another Ivan or Paloma. We're thankful for this. And when we sat and looked at the spread on the table, it was actually 2010. When we sat and looked at the spread on the table, all the family members who were there, they said, this is really special. This is not just a coincidence. This is something we should share with the entire community. And we went about from there trying to figure out how to share the idea with others. So we started having conversations with many people, including Mr. Jude Scott, who was here on this call. So when 2011 rolled around, we kind of started to build momentum. And if I may embarrass him a bit, Jude was the very first person to contribute to the effort financially. He said, I believe in this. I think it's special. I think you all should really push for it. And Jude got behind it from day one. I mean, just one conversation over telephone, and he jumped on it right away. And we've had, lots of support. We've done things like concerts. We've done events, community cleanups, different things throughout the years. But the whole idea is, on that weekend, we believe, as you know, Cayman is a community that has many things that divide us. We disagree in a lot. We have a very diverse population, and there's very few things we all agree on. But I think it's safe to say that even the most unpleasant curmudgeon amongst us would have to say, if we get through a hurricane season unscathed, that's one thing we can all agree on, that, we're happy that we didn't have a hurricane blow us all the way. And our favorite point with Cayman Thanksgiving is, even if it does blow everything away that you have, if you're still alive on the first Sunday of December after a hurricane, you still have something to be thankful for. It might be a can of tuna or a can of corned beef, or a can of corn if you're vegan. But, you should celebrate nonetheless. You're alive and in one piece. So, it's a great opportunity to talk about where we come from, our identity. Of course, our identity as Caymanians is connected to seafaring. And so on that, Sunday, both granddads, both of Casey's granddads, my dad and Elkie's dad, talked about just growing up. And while Elkie's dad grew up in Banaka, Bay Islands, they are Caymanian by heritage. And so there's a lot of things they share as well too, and talked about, those traditions that made it over from Cayman to Honduras and back to Cayman again and stuff. So it was a great opportunity for us to share ideas, to exchange, to talk about Cayman. And, I'm not getting into politics today by any means. We don't know when we'll ever have a quote unquote Independence Day. So there's really no day in which, everyone wants to celebrate and wave the Cayman flag and celebrate all things Caymanian. And so Thanksgiving has potential through culinary, through getting together, through sharing and food and just having those conversations, sharing a meal, having fellowship. It has the opportunity to really get to the essence of what Cayman is about, and that's sharing and caring and blessing your neighbors.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Sam. Thank you, Casey. So how quickly did it evolve from 2010? Because eventually, it caught on. There were the coming home concerts,
Yeah.
One of which was quite a large scale one out at Pageant Beach.
Yes.
with the late Greggy
Yep.
Scott. And then
Absolutely.
these banners going down with Old Georgetown, really large scale banners and quite a lineup of local talent. And the numbers were astonishing. Hundreds of people out there, if not thousands. It was difficult to tell, but how quickly did it catch on? When from its inception to say that point, how quickly did it take off?
So we knew we had to move quickly because that was 2010, and then running into 2011, having conversations with the likes of, like I said, Jude, with Shamari Scott, who was at DOT at the time, because we thought it'd be a great thing to also promote Cayman's, culture and invite people back home. Originally, we thought, if we could do this on a large scale on an annual basis, it might be a reason for Caymanians living overseas to come home as well too. It might be a time of year for them to come home. By then, Pirates Week is already starting to sputter, if I could say could say that. The Heritage Days and stuff have kind of really lost a lot of their energy and their verve, and I guess that's tied to a lot of the old people who the community members who used to really keep the energy into it. It's changing, things evolved. So we got together with people like Luigi Moxham, Pilar Bush, Antonia Spencer. It's just a team of individuals like-minded who were just, loving the idea. Kathy Jackson, and they just, threw weight behind it, started having conversations, and of course, getting corporate sponsorship. I think starting off with people like Jude, and of course, others jumped on board very quickly because they could see the big picture behind it. And so the homecoming concert was like a hook. It really was a huge hook to get people's attention, because people are wondering, what is Thanksgiving, kind of a thing. So a lot of times the two intersect and have become synonymous with each other. But truth be told, if it rains out, you can't have a concert in Cayman because, we don't have any proper indoor venues. But no matter what the weather's like, you can still have your Thanksgiving meal with your family. And so we always, no matter what, we've always tried to direct it back to, stopping and pausing on that first Sunday or that first weekend in December, because we know some people get together on Saturdays or what have you, and for schedule reasons, just getting people back to that. So it really took off. The concert really got people's attention. We did it for about 3 or 4 years. And then we partnered heavily with the Farmers Market and the Agriculture Society. So we had a lot of events there. We would always, have a daytime. We would always enhance the market. Back then, the market at the grounds was in Lower Valley in Bodden Town. That was before it moved to town. So, just putting energy into it, because we also wanted to connect people back to their food, to the farmers, where they're getting their food from. And I may dare say that if you ever have attended a farm-to-table dinner at the Cayman Cabana, when Luigi tells you the introductory story, it always ties back to Cayman Thanksgiving, because that's where the whole concept of the farm-to-table dinner came from. So it's kind of like full circle in a lot of things. It's evolved in many different ways. So it's pretty cool.
I just want to interject and say one thing my parents always taught me, especially when we were coming together for Cayman Thanksgiving. They always said to us, they're like, if the ships stop coming, if the planes stop coming, this is what you're going to have to eat. So it always ties back into like just being grateful that we can, grow our own stuff here, because we are able to, and supporting the farmers who are doing that. So
yeah.
Absolutely. So what do the 3 days look like? What does the weekend actually look like when you're encouraging people to observe Cayman Thanksgiving over the 3-day period?
Well, the last year and this year have looked quite different because of this person called COVID-19 that refuses to leave. So, we had to keep people safe.
Unwanted guest.
Yes, an unwanted guest. We're not really thankful for that person. But generally, the weekend would always include some type of event, definitely supporting the farmers market, and then of course, having your meal. That's like the big thing. It's the centerpiece of it. People getting together and sharing a meal. And one of the things that we've always done in Cayman. We've always done a very good job in Cayman. It was kind of one of the hallmarks of our tourism product. We both have, you know, family members who worked in the tourism and continue to work in the tourism industry, where the hotel, condos, etc. And it was never uncommon. It wasn't an uncommon thing. Kind of, you know, Cayman's tourism product is so different with a long-term stay over tourists who have been returning for years and years and years. Many of them have built relationships with Caymanian families. And so it would be absolutely commonplace for visiting families to come and have a meal in the home of the people that work at the hotel that they're staying, or the condo they're staying at, and they become friends over years, etc. So that cultural exchange, that exchange of values and food has always happened in that format. And so we're always encouraging, and then likewise, you know, if you go back to the Cayman of the 90s, 80s, 70s, going back, you know, when people from other places came to live in Cayman, there was a lot more intermingling. There was always that exchange. There was, you know, children going over to play with one another, you know, meals were shared, etc. And so that even from a cultural integration process, we did that through food, right? And so there was a connection there with people from all over the world. And so, you know, it's commonplace for people who have been living in Cayman for 30, 40 years. They can cook Cayman style beef. They can cook a rundown. They know those types of things. So we've noticed that as things have changed and as the population has exploded, and, you know, people are just in general, we spend more time on these things. We're friends with people, you know, thousands of miles away, friends with people thousands of miles away. We don't know the name of the person that lives next door to us. So, you know, that's just a product of society and modernity. But in a small place like Cayman, you know, it does ring different. Guess what? Cayman is different. So we always encourage people, whenever they're having their meal, to try to invite somebody who has never had a Caymanian meal before, or someone who's visiting, or who is from elsewhere, who doesn't have family with them. So bring them over and let them meet your family and talk about Cayman. And it gives them a safe place and space in which to ask questions and to talk about things and to try things, you know, in that type of environment. So we always do that, and many folks do that as well.
Yeah, it's taking a little bit of the Cayman of yesteryear, if you will,
Right.
and kind of taking this opportunity at this time of year, because people tend to be, let's just say, quite busy these days. They're
Correct.
having moments where you can rest and reflect and invite someone over, someone, maybe a new work colleague, or
Correct.
someone who's just come to the island that you've met, you know, at church, or if you play a sport or something like that, inviting them into your home and showing them a bit of Cayman kindness. Because one of the comments that's made often, and sometimes it has even shown up on, you know, the DOT surveys at the airport, and is that, you know, tourists or visitors even to the island feel that they haven't met enough Caymanians, if they've met any
Right.
at all. And so even people moving to the island for the, you know, just say they're there, they've just moved there, and they might find other people from their country, but to say that they have quickly established relationships with Caymanians, I think that is much more of a rare thing. So this weekend also offers that opportunity to people recently moved to the island to really get to know Caymanians, get to understand the culture through food, through conversation, etc., which is a beautiful thing. And I think even for those of us overseas, it's a wonderful opportunity for cultural exchange. We have, you know, next door to me, we have Afghanis, we have Ghanaians, have Caymanians up the street as well. And it just seems like a wonderful thing to come together. Obviously, there are some restrictions in place, but still to come together and get to know each other, because the world has become divided, as you said, because of the technology. We're closer in many ways, but we've also, you know, we've been pulled apart in other ways. So this is a great time to kind of reflect and to get to know people a little bit better.
Absolutely.
Sorry, Tom. So I wanted to ask the members if anybody wanted to ask a question or make a comment, or perhaps even share a little bit about their experience with Cayman Thanksgiving, whether in Cayman or abroad. I see Tom has his hand up. Hello, Tom.
I'm being well behaved tonight, Rita.
Aren't you always, Tom?
Just some reflections, because back when this was all started, and thank you so much, young Miss Rose, for the inspiration. Not many people on this call were intimately involved in tourism around that time in Cayman, but I was. And there was a tourism council that was government appointed with the Ministry of Tourism at the time, and you know, we loved the idea. And actually, a little backstory is a couple of years before that, several people on the call here in different contexts know Pilar Bush really well. And Pilar was the predecessor of Shamari Scott, who at the time of this all came up was the director of tourism. And she had this idea around improving our levels of customer service in tourism, including training taxi drivers, etc. Right? And this was all around raising our standard of overall customer service. That was the idea behind Cayman Kind. It was about a sort of badge or origin or certification and pride in Cayman as expressed in how we interacted with everybody who came to visit. It then became an advertising campaign. And in 2011, a song was recorded to launch it. And in just the way that things evolve in culture, I really love, having been part of the discussions back in 08, 09 around that Cayman Kind was going to be a way in which we raised our level higher and higher in terms of how we served the visitor. It then became this cultural anchor that everybody uses. And I just love it. So I love the integration. And it can't happen now because of our unwanted visitor that remains on our shores. However, one of the ideas that, you know, Picasso said that good artists borrow, great artists steal. And Jamaica has always done a really good host program over the years. Not taken up that much because things like the crime rates there are a little bit higher, so tourists are a bit uncertain. But you know, Cayman is about family. People socialize in their home. They cook up. They bring family over, and it is a big deal to bring somebody who's not a family member into your home for a meal. It's sometimes some people find it difficult, as we know. But over time, my encouragement is just keep this going, keep it going, because it's what economists would call a universal good, right? It's like everybody accepts that this is really powerful, really great stuff, and just abundant and positive, and it's the best of Cayman. So it may evolve into a little host program with more support from DOT. It may have more concerts, more cultural events, more cultural anchors, and people like Sam and Rita are just incredible cultural icons for Cayman. And yeah, it's a great. I imagine you had no idea, Casey, that when you asked the question.
No, I had no idea at all, but it became something bigger than myself, bigger than my family. Absolutely. And I just want to thank you for your words of encouragement. Hopefully soon we'll be doing a rebranding of Cayman Thanksgiving, and we're hoping to make it bigger, not just event-wise, but also, you know, just us coming together as a community. So thank you.
That's wonderful, Casey. Yes, absolutely. And what sort of, you know, it just makes me wonder what, other than the obvious, which is COVID, what sort of challenges have you encountered over the years, and what maybe have you wanted to do that for whatever reason you just weren't able to do, and how could that change now? What could be done in order to realize these other elements of Cayman Thanksgiving?
Well, I was a bit young when this all like started about. So for me, it was just about the food and just seeing my family and friends. But as I grew up and I went away to school, I was in the UK for 2 years. I just realized how much I miss home and I miss like our culture. And it just got me thinking too, like places like Jamaica, you know, Jamaican, anywhere you go, they rep their country with pride. And I just want that for myself and the community and people my age. So when we do go to places like England, we can rep our country with pride and just be, you know, so outspoken about just who we are as a people, you know. Something major that has come up is currently trying to find like-minded individuals in my age group and maybe even lower, because we are trying to do a rebrand and we are trying to get the younger generation involved in something like this. So this year, me and my dad had to talk about it, and I'm just kind of trying to get my foot in the door and see what's been happening behind the scenes that I haven't been able to see earlier.
And if I may clarify briefly, some of the things that I wish would have happened, I wish for more hands, you know, as my life has changed and we've had, you know, different things occurring, work has just become more and more challenging. I'm usually in the UK, as Kate can tell you, I'm usually in the UK at this time of year. Like, you know, Thanksgiving and JMC always clashes, right? So I am usually over there for work, trying to balance what's going on at home. It is overwhelming. Some of the team members have moved overseas, etc. So when when Casey came to me and says, you know, Dad, I really want to get more involved, I was like, here, run with it, you know. There was like absolutely no hesitation on my part, because I agree. I think, you know, I think we've done a half decent job of getting it into the psyche of people. So there's a lot of people across the community. If you check out Facebook and Instagram on Thanksgiving, people are showing their meals. Some people still do it tied to the American Thanksgiving date. So they'll have like Cayman style beef and conch and stuff at their American Thanksgiving, or they'll do it on the weekend and they'll say, you know, this is our spread. This is what we're thankful for this year. So it's a part of the national conversation. But, you know, as old people in Cayman say, I've been here before, right? This is not my first journey on the earth. So I'm an old timer. As young as I am, I can tell you everything about old Cayman. And I have an old soul. The challenge is inspiring and getting that spark going in her generation and her siblings' generation. And, you know, I recognize that Cayman is evolving, that Cayman is changing, right? So that goes without saying. You don't have to have smoke pots anymore or smoke pans and beat off mosquitoes, and we can't catch turtle anymore. So those days are gone and not coming back. But as Casey said, what are still the things that distinguish us from other places in the Caribbean? What are some of those things? And I really do hope, my dream was for it to be a catalyst, as Tom pointed out, for a host program, because we already do it. We've been doing it for years. Their families right now, Casey's grandparents still work at a condo. Their families, as soon as they get to Cayman, they'll say, okay, when are we getting together for dinner? We had you guys over last time, or you had us over last time, so we want to take you all out. They've watched my wife grow up. They've watched these kids grow up. You know, they watched me grow out inside. But, you know, is that connection, and they'll sit down and tell you, this is why we've been coming to Cayman for 34, 45 years, and our kids and grandkids are coming because you all are here, and we feel a part of this community, and we feel like this is our second home, etc. So how to keep that going, keep that continuing, that's the key challenge. And I recognize that Casey is far more capable of impacting and reaching that generation than I am. And so I'm happy that she's had that spark. And I think perhaps by going away, I spent 7 years away from Cayman in school, and I can tell you, you really appreciate home more when you leave, you know, after going away and being away, and especially if you got to deal with cold and wet and darkness at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Jar to see your face. You know, it reminds you of home and the things that you miss. So I really hope that you all are able to find beef over there and make your little Cayman style beef. And I know every now and again they have breadfruit in England and all kinds of stuff I hear they have.
Not the beef, Sam, that's the problem. It's the it's affordable breadfruit that isn't
right.
Right.
Yeah, that isn't right. I know. Yes.
All jokes aside, though, I recognize some. We spoke earlier on that, you know, we only have a little bit of time here with you and Casey, and Cayman Connection obviously wants to play a role, whatever role we can play in spreading the word about Cayman Thanksgiving. We feel that the way you feel about it, in that it is such an opportunity for us to come together, and it is such a wonderful moment for us to pause, reflect, give thanks, and also recognize who we are as a people, and also just respect our heritage in a sense. So we would love to continue the conversation with you. For this year, as I've mentioned, we will be doing a virtual Cayman Thanksgiving, and at 6 p.m. our time, we are inviting members, across the world to Zoom in and have some food with us, break bread with us. So it'll be lunchtime for some people. It might be breakfast for some other people.
Right.
Asking they would maybe take just that day, it's a Sunday, if they can spend 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour with us, and for us to all come together. If you, Casey, might be able to spread the word also, we can certainly share what we've put together with you, and that way we can have people from Cayman in the room with us, in the virtual room with us, and celebrate this very, very special moment, because we need it. I think now more than ever, we need these moments to come together. And
Absolutely.
sometimes you see 10, 15 people on the call. I will say this to you. Sometimes it isn't the numbers. While I do agree with you, you need more hands to do certain things. Sometimes the commitment, it's the level of commitment people have that makes the difference. And so our membership here, they enjoy being together, and they enjoy thinking about home and being a part of things at home now more than ever, probably. Sometimes when you're at home, you take things for granted, like the beach, the same beach you don't end up going to. And then when you're abroad, you think, my goodness, I could have gone to the beach a few more days. So we would love to share what we're doing with you all, and if you would spread the word, but also let us know, beyond this year, because that's just in a few weeks.
Right.
What else might be done on our end in order to spread the word about Cayman Thanksgiving, and what plans you have, whether it's further discussions with DOT or with Restaurant Association or any of the entities there that could help re-cement this in the minds of our people, right? So do let us know. I would love to just see if there's anyone. I see Jared has his hand up.
His hand must be tired for a long time.
It's well tired. When are we going to make it a national day for Cayman Thanksgiving? Because I do know Canada and America, they actually have it officially as a day. Is it like a lot of work? I'm talking to the cabinet secretary here on this one. I know he probably knows.
So we thought about this, Jared, and very good question. And so it is actually recognized. It is on the calendar. So it's always the first Sunday in December. And so the reason why we said first Sunday was because what happens in Cayman every time that in normal times, when there's a public holiday, which is usually a Monday, what do most Caymanians do? Jump on a plane and go to Miami, right? Or Tampa, right? They leave. So and we also realized that it might be a tough sell for our business community to have to pay for another public holiday, right? Because we do have quite a few of them. We don't do too bad when it comes to bank holidays. So yeah, right. So that's Tom's point. So we always recognize that going for, if we wanted national buy-in, and maybe if you all make such a fuss, if you all get behind Cayman Thanksgiving, you make such a fuss about it, becomes such an important thing that it'll be impolitic for someone to say, no, we're not going to support it becoming a public holiday. But we thought to not to put us at enmity with the business community who are saying, my gosh, I got to pay for people for another day not to work. And also, keeping people on island. I think that was part of one of the tricks as well to kind of get it going. So we'll see. It can evolve into that eventually. You might have to trade off one of the other holidays, Discovery Day or something like that, and get Thanksgiving on the calendar. Lead the charge, Jared. Lead the charge.
We need all those holidays.
Might we be able to put together some stats? As in, farmers, their sales increased by, I don't know, 10, 12, 14, 15%. X number of people testimonials of people who've just recently, I'm just thinking that there's we could attack it in a different way and make an argument for it as, something that stimulates the economy. Let's see.
Mhm.
Okay. So as Tom is just mentioning some dates here, July 4th. I like Sam's thoughts. So anyways, there's some thoughts behind there. That the whole point of it, I guess, is that we believe in it and we are going
Yeah.
to continue to support it. But if we're really going to make a meal of it, then
No pun intended, right?
let us know what to do, and we're there, right? We are there. Casey, especially for you. You know, we're more than happy to work with you.
Thank you so much.
Rita, I see Jude's microphone's off. Jude, are you going to, as one of the very first people who I shared the idea with and who got behind me and gave us some encouragement, I'd love to hear your perspective on it 10 years on now.
Well, thank you so much. And Sam, it was a pleasure from the first discussion. Casey, it's you're inspiring us. It's you know, a big part of being connected to Cayman, being Caymanians, living, working there, or working abroad, or it's really about making a difference. And it's been great, the passion that you've had for it. Sam, you and Elke, you know, inspiring Casey and supporting her and building it and putting real work behind it. You know, all too often our young people, they have great ideas, but they're left to sort of figure it out themselves. And I think surrounding them with family and with community and focusing on the things that help build strong communities, I think are wonderful. It was a great idea then. I think it continues to be a great idea now. And you know, I like the ideas, Tom and others and the Cayman Connection team. You know, how do we figure out how to make this even better and even more cemented in the minds of our people?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So there's some interesting comments on the chat. Tom is putting some in there. There's also some back and forth about whether or not we have enough public holidays. But Kate, you had a comment. You wanted to make a comment earlier on as well.
I did, and actually, interestingly, we've without me bringing it up, we've covered a lot of it, and it was really to do with the vision for the future and what does it look like, and very much how Cayman Connection can help. I mean, this is completely and utterly the essence of what we've always trying to do with Cayman Connection, and it couldn't be more aligned. It couldn't be more something that we love and we want to help with. And I'm pleased to say that we have built this network and we've built this team, and we have some amazing people on our team, and who all kinds of skill sets that we can bring in to help you to develop this and to reignite the vision or it's just such a wonderful thing, and we definitely want to help. I myself are going to be finally out in Cayman in December, and I'm staying for the whole of January. Haven't been back for 2 years in my entire life. I've never been away so long, and I'm really feeling it. So when I'm back in January, I would love to sit and meet with you and chat through it and brainstorm some ideas. And I can let you know what resources we have, because we do. We've got a great marketing team. We've got a lot of people that want to help. And this is exactly the kind of thing that we'd love to kind of partner up on or do something with. So I just wanted to make that point. It excites us very much. And then just to say a little bit about my own experience, really, of having done Thanksgivings over here with my friends, Thanksgiving dinners and bringing the food in. It doesn't come from Cayman, unfortunately, but I did my best. And I just love the responses. And these are people who have known me for a really long time, might have gone to school with me or college with me, and kind of known me and known my connection to Cayman. But to actually bring them in, and they say things like, well, I always knew you from Cayman, and I knew this about it, but I didn't know this. And you start talking about the food, and you start talking about the culture, and suddenly it really opens it up to them. And I love it. I had some Irish friends around last year and the year before, and it was so nice to see it from their point of view and to see me in a different way as well. And that's definitely, it's just brings so much joy. So I just wanted to say that really, we want to help you with the vision, with the resources that we've built. And I love the idea of the host program, and we're in, basically. We're in 100%. And thank you obviously for coming and chatting to us about that, because fairly busy time for government at the moment, I'd say. We do really appreciate you postponing the press conference for us. Seriously, thank you so much. Thank you.
No, it is.
I want to say huge thanks to you, Kate, because for years and years you all have been supporting it, and having conversations and reminding students in the UK and Caymanians living over in the UK and overseas that it's this Cayman Thanksgiving weekend. So it's a shared experience. It's something that we can all think about Cayman and the direction things are going and what we want and the things we have to be thankful for on that day, so putting that goodwill together. I think one of my favorite things that we've been able to accomplish in years gone by was that we convinced the various talk show hosts in Cayman, whether it be Woody or Austin, or Sterling, they all implemented on the show the day before, like the Friday show was no complaining day, or give Monday afterwards, like give thanks day. So, you know what an accomplishment that is? I mean, when you hear someone calling in, yeah, I'm with it. I call him because, I'm sick of these people over here. They keep doing it. So no complaining today. It's Cayman Thanksgiving. You're off. And they cut them off. I mean, it was just hilarious, and people complain, say, yeah, I got important things to talk about. It says, we complain every day. We're taking one day out of the entire year to celebrate and to give thanks. Can you not do that, right? And when you put it to people in that way, they kind of have to pause and they have to say, yeah, I guess I shouldn't complain for one day out of the year, right? So
Is it the Friday? The Friday or the Monday? Which day is it? Because we're going to put it in.
Would do both. Austin got to the point he would do both. The Fridays, because we would always go there to talk about what is happening for that weekend. But then Austin on a Monday, he really got behind it, super duper behind it. I mean, he was all in. So on the Mondays, he says, I just want to talk about things I'm thankful for today. And, we're only accepting those calls, tell us about your Thanksgiving meal, etc. And that was his thing, he would just cut off unless he had a sponsored show. If it was open line, he would just cut people off. Sterling would do similar things, getting people to just talk about what they're thankful for. And it's just trying to inculcate that spirit, because we do have a lot. I mean, think about it. There's no country on earth that wouldn't exchange their problems with ours. If we could put all of our problems in a bag and they put all their problems in the bag, they would take that trade every time, right? We are one of the most blessed places on earth. And I will leave you with this thought. Beloved Isle Cayman, the song written by our newest national hero, this is Leela Ross Shire, Matt Taggart. She wrote the Beloved Isle Cayman when she was, I think, in Honduras. She was overseas. She wasn't in Cayman. So it's actually an ode. It's a love song, speaking of how much she misses home, right? So I think of all of you on the call who are overseas, living overseas, and, your nostalgia, as bad as things are in Cayman, you don't remember the bad things when you're overseas, right? When it's cold and it's biting, you're kind of like, I wish I was home, and then you get back here in the traffic and the mosquitoes and the foolishness and the gossiping, and you're like, oh, well, why am I here? So it's just human nature, right? We just tend to always, complain and find something to grumble about. So think about that. Okay.
I just wanted to add to that point about Beloved Isle Cayman, and when King sang the most amazing rendition of it at Cayman Day, it was tingly, and it was so, I was suddenly hearing it in a different way, and I was like, this is written for us, this is written for us to sing here in London together. And it was just such a powerful moment, and I've sung that song all my life in Cayman, right? I love it, obviously, but something about that, singing it there, it was like we had this big joint realization about that song and the words and how poignant it was. So I just wanted to share that, because it was really special.
It does feel different when you're singing it overseas. It also, Sam, I just have to bring this up. It's just a memory of you, just briefly here, nothing to do with Cayman Thanksgiving as such, but when you played the violin in Trinidad at Carafesta, you were there were big bands that came out and singers and choirs that had come before from the different countries being represented, and they sang their national song. And when it was Cayman's time, it was in the Queen's Hall. When it was Cayman's time to come up, it was one single man with a single violin. And the place just went silent. And it was the same sort of feeling, Kate, that we had at Cayman Day, where you recognized all of a sudden, now being away from home, the significance of the song. And also that even for being such a small nation, how great we are, right? We will never be the size of some of the other Caribbean nations. It just won't happen. Even population, even if some people would like us to get to certain numbers, we still will never be as large as, yet there's this power, there's this strength that we have that we want to continue to celebrate wherever we are in the world. So Cayman Thanksgiving and no complaining day is on the list too, by the way. So we're gonna do a Friday. We're gonna do, what do you say, Kate? We're gonna do Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. We're gonna just carry 4 days out of the year. Come on now, don't complain about that. 4 days out of the year, that Thanksgiving weekend, plus the actual Thanksgiving event on the Sunday, 6 p.m. for everybody to join in on. And we're going to put it out there. You hear, Casey? So this is where now, Casey, I know you're going to be picking up the phone, calling the stations, calling. You're going to keep this going, keep the momentum going now, right? We're putting the tasks together as we speak. We have just a few minutes left. I want to make sure that everybody gets a chance to make a comment or to share a question. Do forgive me. I am actually viewing this from my phone, so I can't always see the hands up, but Kate, I hope you'll assist me there because I have to
start again. I'm having a look at everybody here, so please let me know if you want to say anything.
Jared has his hand up.
Yeah, so I did a little cooking thing at my university when I attended. And I did cook, what is it, beef stew? I should know this, but it went well. People wanted it back on the menu because I know the Caribbean chef, you gotta run the little Caribbean thing. So I think, wrapping this Cayman Thanksgiving, it would be easy not to sell from a DOT standpoint, but culturally, it is good. I am for it. That's why I did it actually, because it's like these people can't cook, they need some help. So I had to incentivize and help, with that. And it was really successful. So whatever you need in terms of Canada's support, Canada is willing to help. So
we appreciate it. Thank you so much.
We will be taking pictures. So please, we're encouraging our members. Some people say that, like, if you don't have a picture, it didn't happen, right? There's that sort of saying. You don't have a picture, it didn't happen. So you have to show us, even if you're not able to make it out, and come and be on Zoom for whatever reason, maybe that's not your thing, you can still participate by taking a picture, sharing it, tagging us, hashtag give thanks. There are many ways to be involved. And if you need ideas, we did promise that we would give people some ideas as to what they could do for Cayman Thanksgiving. Promise to send something out when we on our e-blasts with some ideas and perhaps a few recipes that you could try. And we'll keep in mind that not all things will be available overseas, but some very simple things, even things like macaroni pudding. Now you can find macaroni, you can find some cream and some cinnamon and some raisins. They're very simple recipes that people can put together for Cayman Thanksgiving. And it's a great way for us to continue to unite like this, wherever we are in the world. So I want to just say 5 minutes out here.
Jevi had his hand up there, Jevi.
Hi, I just wanted to say that I really support the concept of Cayman Thanksgiving. I know Sam well, and I really love the concept because I'm very big on Cayman identity and I'm big on people having something to be proud of. And so I think that it's fantastic. I know that, it's easy to look at things through a business scope, but I think it's sometimes way more beneficial and impactful if we, build our communities and, like you said, know our neighbors. So I really, really enjoy, anytime that we have any form of pride in Cayman identity. And I think that this is one of them. And I just can't wait to see how it will continue to grow. Thank you.
Thank you, Jevi. Thank you for that.
Thank you
Well-
so much. Something that I just kind of want to interject here was just my thanks for just coming behind this movement. We started it as a family and we never thought it would get so big. And I think that now more than ever is a time for the younger generation to step up and to share the word honestly. Our culture is dying fast. So many people are coming in and out, and it's so important to have, our core values, what we believe in still intact, and, just that sense of identity.
Absolutely. And for Caymanians overseas with children, just something you said there are a lot of children that are eager to know more about their roots, their heritage. And really there are only a couple of ways to really impart that knowledge: for you to put them in the country, but keep in mind that the country has changed dramatically, or for you to teach them yourselves. And I would encourage all parents on the call, or all people who are perhaps with younger Caymanian people who don't really know a lot about their heritage or the culture, to really spend a little time this season, if at no other time in the year, to really share your stories. And I think the Thanksgiving weekend, Christmas, of course, all throughout the year, but in particular this time of year, it is a wonderful time to do some storytelling, to pass on knowledge through the oral tradition. It is the time to talk about your grandmother, your grandfather, whatever you do know, because many times our parents didn't pass it on to us either. And so the only way for us to ensure that our children feel rooted is for us to find that knowledge and share it, and also to be a part of a group that perhaps can do some sharing of their own stories. I remember we have quite a big chat group, and one member shared an image of coconut sponge, or kushus, as I grew up knowing it. And I remember some of the people saying they never saw it before. It was something totally new to them. And so that's another way of storytelling, share your images, share your own personal tales. If you are a history buff and you have the time to share those sorts of stories, things you've learned over the years, come together at the Cayman Thanksgiving and impart your knowledge, impart your experience, so to speak. That's a way for us all to be more rooted in our community.
So it would be remiss of me to not mention, I see the Dilberts on here. I saw Miss Jennifer, I'm not sure Mr. Leonard's there, but I remember when I think Joshua was, well, a toddler, he was a little fella. Mr. Leonard gave me a large ground basket, the big thatch baskets in which people used to go into the land and bring the provisions out, with a strap that you put across your head and carry it. Of course, we have wheelbarrows now, right? And those types of things, right? So I was like, thank you so much for that gift. He's like, yes, I know you don't keep a ground. Mr. Leonard was teasing me. I know you don't keep a ground and you don't need it for that, but put your child's toys, stuffed toys inside of it. So that way he's associating this basket with something he loves, his toys. He's touching it, he's interacting with it every day. He's seeing the use and the purpose of it. So that's taking something that's traditional and repurposing it, using it in a more modern context. So it's still relevant, but he's still seeing the artwork, the mastery of the artistry that went into creating that ground basket. He's touching silver thatch on a daily basis every time he reaches for his favorite toy. So it's there, it's part of his psyche. So he's not growing up and saying, I've never seen that thing before. I don't know where that came from. What is that? So it had a modern use for it. And so likewise with food and culinary, things will evolve and things will change. There are people who will never want to put turtle in their mouth, right? There'll be people who are allergic to fish, different things, but you can you can make a vegan rundown, right? Coconut milk and the vegetables, the ground provisions, and you're good to go, right? So there's a way to incorporate these things and to have a modern application of these traditions so that they do remain relevant, they remain alive, and they can form part of a conversation. And, for those of us who are multi-generational Caymanian, and for those who have made Cayman their home, this is equally important a celebration. And so, I would expect that if I lived in Italy for 10 years and I came back home, everybody would want me to cook something Italian, right? To show them something you learned while you're in Italy. If I couldn't even say good morning in Italian, they'd be like, what were you doing over there? You're there for 10 years and you can't even, cook a basic plate of pasta, right? So I think the same applies. We want our people to be proud of their heritage and their culture and to share it with their neighbors, their friends, and people around the world.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yes, Sam, he's here, he's listening. Yeah, we still do that actually, especially like when a child is having like their first birthday. For their first birthday, we give them one of those baskets. It's, you can always, you're supporting the artisans that are making them as well. And yeah, it does make a great gift. We lots of them around this house, but also the food. Yeah, I have to tell you, he made lunch today. So he put lemongrass. He did. It wasn't called fish and ackee that he made because he actually used just fresh fish, but with ackee. But he put lemongrass in it. This is the kind of thing you have to do, right? Just mix it up. But it's still Cayman.
That's right.
Good going. Nice to hear from both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for everyone who's come on the call today to share, to listen in, to support. We hope that everyone will take part in Cayman Thanksgiving from wherever you are. We will be zooming in at 6 p.m. There is a link on our website. We have a web page dedicated to it, Cayman Thanksgiving. And come and share some stories. Show us what you've made. At the very least, send us some pictures of what you've cooked up. Leading up to that, I also want to remind people that we are going to have Christmas in the Cook Room on the 8th of December. And actually right after that, forgive me, my calendar is off, 5th and then 8th. On the 8th, we're also going to be doing some baking of a traditional fruit cake with a Caymanian. So do check our calendar at caymanconnection.org. Lots of really fantastic activities for you to get involved in and stay connected to home. I want to thank our wonderful guests, Mr. Samuel Rose and Ms. Casey Rose, for coming on, for spending time with us, taking time out of your busy schedules, and really just getting us excited about the next couple of weeks. We have to all go out now and go shopping and get our items to cook up, but it will be exciting. If you can join us on the day, we would love to have you. And if not, we'd love to have a photo of you and we would love to post it so people can see, people from home as well. That would be a real blessing. Well, Michelin doesn't like fruit cakes, but maybe I'll make a cassava cake. We'll see. Thank you all so much. Thank you everyone for coming on. Meaning of Thanksgiving, of Cayman Thanksgiving, and the actual Cayman Thanksgiving weekend is over the 5th of December. The Sunday is the Cayman Thanksgiving Day, but the entire weekend, remember, there's no complaining going on. We're going to put it out there and we're going to give thanks for that entire weekend with you all. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving when it comes.
Thanks all.
Take care.